I never thought my life in the dusty outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona, would turn into a nightmare of corporate betrayal. Out here in the Southwest, where the sun beats down on sprawling tech hubs nestled between red rock canyons, I'd carved out a solid career at Desert Data Solutions. We were a mid-sized analytics firm specializing in compliance for big oil and renewable energy clients, the kind that keep the lights on in Vegas and the rigs pumping in Texas. I'd been there from the ground up, starting as a junior ops analyst fresh out of Arizona State, and climbing my way to director of operations. My name's Alex Thompson, and for 8 years, I was the invisible force holding everything together. It started small, like most disasters do. One scorching morning in July, as I sipped my black coffee at my desk overlooking the Sonoran Desert, our janitor, Miguel, a quiet guy with a perpetual squint from years under the harsh sun, leaned on his mop near my cubicle. "Hey, Alex," he whispered, glancing toward the conference room like it was rigged with scorpions. "Might want to skip the break room Joe today. Head downtown instead." He shuffled off before I could ask why, but his words hung in the air like heat haze. Curious, I wandered down the hall. Through the glass door, I saw Jake Reynolds holding court like some budget motivational speaker. He was the boss's son, fresh from USC with a degree in business and a TikTok following for his hustle hacks videos, think bathrobes and crypto rants. The room was packed with our leadership team, department heads, VPs, even our CFO. My name wasn't on the invite. I'd run these meetings for years, mapping out compliance strategies that saved us millions in fines from federal regulators. But there I was, on the outside, looking in, feeling the ground shift like sand under my boots. Betrayal doesn't hit like a rattlesnake strike. It's slower, like the erosion of those red cliffs outside town. I'd poured my soul into this place. I built our compliance systems from scratch, firewalls that met HIPAA and EPA standards, vendor contracts with ironclad SLAs, audit trails that could withstand a DOJ probe. While Jake golfed with clients at Scottsdale resorts, I was in the trenches, untangling licensing messes that kept our renewable energy partners compliant. David Reynolds, my boss and Jake's dad, used to call me his desert anchor. "Alex, you're irreplaceable," he'd say during reviews, his Texas drawl thick as mesquite smoke. "You make us audit-proof." But lately, the winds had changed. Jake started shadowing David in closed-door sessions. My strategic report showed up in his presentations with edits I hadn't made. Shared drives had missing logs. I stayed late anyway, loyal to the bone. I'd watched Desert Data grow from a strip mall startup to a powerhouse with offices in Albuquerque and Vegas. I remembered when our servers crashed from a single email attachment, or when the kitchen microwave sparked during monsoons. I fixed it all, bleeding sweat in 110-degree heat. That afternoon, the calendar ping hit. Mandatory. Ops leadership transition. No details. Just a time and room. I walked in, took a seat at the back. David stood up front, looking rehearsed. Jake beamed beside him like he'd just won the lottery. "Folks, I'm excited to announce Jake's promotion to VP of Strategic Operations. Effective now." The room clapped, even Sarah from marketing, who'd crushed on Jake since the company retreat in Sedona, where he arm-wrestled the CFO on a paddleboard in the Salt River. I didn't react. Just met David's eyes long enough to see the flicker of guilt. Jake did a mock bow. I stood, walked to my office, typed my resignation in 10 minutes flat, printed it, signed with the same pen I'd used for our last EPA proposal. Back in the room, they were still buzzing. I handed it to David mid-sentence. "What's this?" "Alex," he asked, voice cracking. "My notice." "Congrats to Jake." He blinked. Is this some kind of threat? I smiled thin. Nope. Just done. And I walked out, steady as a cactus in the wind. In my office, I locked the door, booted my laptop, the one I'd never taken home. Per policy. It held the company's guts, renewal schedules, compliance timers.
SOPSI diran solo.
I copied what was mine, templates I'd created on my own time. Then, revoked my access keys quietly. Not sabotage, just severance. They'd learn soon enough that irreplaceable wasn't hyperbole. Jake's grind never stops. Instagram post from David's office last week? That was my cue. Clumsy nepotism at its finest. I sent a Slack to HR. Resignation effective EOD.
No frills.
Then marched into David's office. He was still glowing. Alex, don't overreact. I'm not. You just showed me my worth. Jake's got fresh ideas. He's got audacity, I countered. And compliance tips that'd get us fined by the feds. David's face tightened. Threat?
Nah.
I left. No one stopped me. Invisibility has perks until they need you. On the drive home, through saguaro-lined highways, I sent 3 emails. One to our EPA auditor. Heads up on access logs post-transition. One to a federal vendor. Watch those timelines. One to a longtime supplier. Review SLAs. Best. Alex. Ripples in a still pond. At home. I exhaled. Windows open to the desert breeze. Systems like desert data forget their builders once the paint dries. But remove the foundation, watch it tilt. The next few days blurred like a mirage on the I-10. I boxed up my office relics, a framed certificate from the Department of Energy, a thank you card from a client we'd saved from a shutdown fine, even a quirky clay cactus my nephew made, labeled Aunt Alex's superpower. But the real gem was my black notebook. Tucked in a drawer, passwords, audit triggers, vendor notes, and a checklist, if I ever leave. Written years ago. In Sharpa. First item, no scenes.
Check.
HR sent young Mia, fresh from community college, to hover like I might flip a desk. Just drop the badge at reception, she mumbled, avoiding my eyes. No thanks.
No hands, Jack.
Just that corporate chill. As I packed, I heard Jake's voice echoing, filming another video in finance. Hard work manifests. Fam. Finger guns. An intern giggled. My God. They thought this was leadership. I slung my bag over my shoulder, walked the halls one last time. Past awards I'd secured grants for. Past the whiteboard where I'd sketched our first compliance dashboard during a power outage. Every renewal. Every risk assessment, it was all in my head. Outside. The Arizona sun blazed, casting long shadows. I parked a block away. Opened my laptop in the AC blasted car. Not revenge, timing. First email reply came from Andrea at Green Tech Vendors, our top supplier for renewable compliance software. I tipped her off. She pulled the SLA clause I'd embedded 2 years back. Continuous oversight by qualified personnel. Changes trigger 10-day review. Without me, Jake's inexperience voided our discount, a $2.8 million hit. Not my doing, just the contract biting back. Second, the federal contact bit. Continuity concerns noted. They'd been wary of Jake's youthful hires after he called a regs handbook TLDR on a call. Third, my self-reminder. You're not their crutch. Lid closed. I drove off. Radio blasting country tunes about broken hearts and dusty roads. It took 4 days for the cracks to show. Our quarterly EPA audit hit, on-site, led by Carla Ruiz, a no-nonsense inspector who'd once stinged a rival for a timestamp glitch. My inside friend, Tom from payroll, texted, audit on. Jake's melting. I brewed coffee.
Pictured it.
In the conference room with views of Camelback Mountain, Jake stalled. Where's the SOC2 log from last spring? Carla asked. He clicked futilely into my old folders. We're agilizing, he bluffed. Carla's eyes narrowed. Show me the chain. Nothing. I'd built backups under my personal LLC for security, biometric keys, off-site mirrors. No one asked. I just delivered. By lunch, David called an emergency huddle. How integrated was Alex? Whispers. She handled everything. Truth, efficiency bred reliance. While they did team-building hikes in the superstitions, I stitched frameworks.
Now.
Unstitched. Panic emails flooded my old inbox, bounced. Of course. This inbox unmonitored. David's voicemails, desperate pleas. I ignored. Started freelancing from my patio, advising small firms on compliance. Felt like breathing fresh air after sandstorm. Then, the big one, Green Tech froze payments under Clause 11.4, audit pending. $3 million stalled. Penalties ticking. CFO grilled Jake. Know about this? Stammers. David canceled meetings. Rumors of stress leave. Meanwhile, I got a call from Oasis Analytics, a competitor in Tucson. Heard you're free. Consult on a migration? It was Sterling Renewables, our biggest client, eyeing a switch. Quietly, I'd built rapport there. Sure, I said. Game on. David showed at a neutral spot, a sunny cafe in Tempe with adobe walls and prickly pear margaritas. He stirred iced tea. Sleeves rolled. Alex. Appreciate you meeting. He said. Phone down. We're in a bind. Underestimated your role. That's on me. Mutual respect's key, I replied. You gave mine away.
He winced.
Jake's eager. But maybe not ready. Not for password prompt. I slid a paper. My consulting disclosure with Oasis. His face paled. Sterling. They're clients now. Why? Mirror. David. See what you lost. I left him staring. Wind whipping palms outside. Back home. Federal renewal deferred. $18 million frozen. Jake looked haggard in leaked internal memos. But I felt a twinge, not glee, but reflection. Was this too far? The desert teaches balance. Storms pass. Growth follows. The fallout spread like wildfire through dry chaparral. By week 2, desert data stock, traded on a small exchange, dipped 15%. Whispers in Phoenix business circles. Nepotism bites back. Jake's social media went dark. No more manifestation posts. Interns gossiped about his trash-tossed badge, found in the garage amid monsoon puddles. I worked from my casita, consulting for Oasis. Sterling's migration was smooth. I knew their pain points from years fixing desert side. But emails from old colleagues trickled in. Miss you. Alex. Things falling apart. Tom texted. David's on leave. Jake demoted to analyst. It hit. This wasn't just systems crumbling, it was people hurting. Families relying on paychecks. One night, under a starlit sky, I revisited my notebook. Last item. Leave room for grace. The old me wanted full collapse. But the desert's harsh beauty reminded me, survival needs mercy. I emailed David anonymously via a burner. Offer. Consult remotely. No return. Just fix. Terms. Acknowledge contributions publicly. Train successors properly. His reply came fast. Please. Name your price. We met virtually, him in his home office. looking gaunt against Texas Longhorn decor. Alex. We screwed up. Jake's out of ops entirely. Not about him, I said. About valuing builders. We negotiated. I'd restore access. Document everything. Train 2 understudies, diverse hires. Not nepotism picks. In return, a fat consulting fee, equity apology, and a company-wide memo crediting my work. Implementation took weeks. I guided them through Zoom, explaining biometric keys, SLA traps. Jake sat in one session, humbled, taking notes like a freshman.
Saw the
Alex, he muttered post-call. Understood now. David issued the memo, honoring Alex Thompson's foundational role. Lessons learned. No one's invisible. As systems stabilized, audits passed. Sterling stayed with Oasis, fair play, but Desert secured new clients. I felt lighter, like monsoon rains washing dust away. Revenge faded, growth bloomed. But ripples lingered. A federal probe into hiring practices loomed, not my doing, but sparked by the deferral.
David testified.
Owning mistakes. Jake pivoted to marketing, his real strength.
Me?
I launched Thompson Compliance LLC, helping Southwest firms avoid pitfalls. One evening, David called personally. Thanks for the grace. Desert's tough, I replied. Teaches resilience and forgiveness. We hung up. A quiet truce. With the systems back online, Desert data exhaled collectively. But the scars ran deep, like arroyos carved by flash floods. I consulted part-time, documenting every process in shared wikis, no more single-point failures. Train Maria, a sharp Latina engineer from New Mexico, and Kyle, a vet from Utah with ops experience. They absorbed it hungrily, asking questions no one had before. David revamped HR, mandatory handoffs, anti-nepotism policies aligned with EEOC guidelines. Jake, demoted but not fired, found his niche in content-compliant videos now, vetted by legal. He even messaged, learn more from fallout than school. Thanks for not nuking us. The federal review wrapped with a warning. No fines, thanks to my fixes. Clients returned. Stock rebounded. But the real win? Culture shift. Town halls focused on unsung heroes. My memo sparked spotlights on back-end teams.
Personally, I thrived.
My LLC boomed, advising ranches on water rights compliance, tech startups on data privacy. Weekends hiking Piastua Peak, reflecting. Betrayal stung, but responding with humanity healed. One day, David invited me to a company picnic in Papago Park, Red Rocks, saguaros blooming. No pressure. I went, curious. Folks hugged me. Jake shook hands awkwardly. David pulled me aside. You saved us twice. First building, then forgiving. Article of the West, I said. Build strong, but no one to mend. As sun set, casting golden hues, I felt peace. No empires crumble forever. Lessons rebuild stronger. Months later, Phoenix buzzed with renewal. Desert Data hosted a compliance conference. My idea, now theirs. I spoke as guest. Value the quiet builders. One oversight can topple giants, but grace rebuilds. Applause thundered. Jake nodded from the crowd. Life normalized. I mentored Maria and Kyle remotely. They excelled. David retired early, handing reins to a merit-based CEO. Jake married, started a family, credits the humbling. My lesson? Revenge tempts like desert mirages, but humanity endures like ancient canyons. In the West's vastness, we're all connected, Betray one, ripple to all. But forgive, and horizons expand.
Now.
Under endless skies, I drive free, building legacies that last, one ethical step at a time. The end wasn't destruction, it was evolution.